So you like beer. You're watching this, you probably like beer. But how much do you like beer? There's guys that, they drink the beer, and that's fine, they watch football games, drink the beer. Can you judge beer? Do you want to judge beer? If you do, you've come to the right place. We have a viewer-requested episode by a friend of the show, Mike Madsen, to talk about the BJCP online exam. Because you have to do the online exam and then tasting exam. So this is the first part of that.
Yeah, the first step's the online exam, and it's... I gotta admit, the biggest piece of advice I always give people is don't panic, because everyone gets so worked up about this exam. We're going to kind of lay out a little strategy, tell you some things that you should memorize, some things you should read, and kind of get you going in the right direction.
Yeah, I think test anxiety plays a lot into that.
Yeah.
People are like, "Oh, it's a test.
Yeah.
Oh my god!" And it's a beer test.
Yeah,
it should be fun. You should be enjoying learning this and displaying your knowledge of beer.
I gotta say the online test isn't fun.
It's rubbish.
You can't describe it as fun.
Come on. No, it's easy.
Yeah, it's a hurdle. You have to get over it. And if you want to take the tasting exam, you have to pass the online exam. Yeah. So hopefully, if you are in some sort of either structured beer course, like we're lucky enough here to have Brad teaching courses left and right. But if maybe you're running yourself through a tasting exam, or a series of style studies and studying up for it, either way, don't put the online exam off until the last minute. You probably have a deadline for your tasting exam, and you don't want this weighing on you when you're trying to get ready for the tasting exam.
Yeah, I think I do seem to remember that the first time I took this was, I don't know, like a year or so ago, and the online exam was stressful because, and we'll get into that why, but leading up to the tasting exam, that was maybe not as stressful, but that was still stressful.
I was nervous,
I was nervous, so I can't imagine both of those monkeys on my back going up. Oh, I think I'd just quit. I just went like, never mind, I'm done. So do it early.
Yeah. So we're going to have a link down in the show notes. Over on our website, we've got a page with a bunch of study resources for you. Probably the biggest thing I suggest you study is the BJCP exam prep guide. You can find that on the BJCP website. It covers just how to brew, the different temperatures for the enzymes, and everything you could ever want to know. And I know myself, studying for the judging exam, I learned a ton about brewing.
Yeah.
Just a metric ton of it. So study that, read through the whole thing. You don't have to memorize it, but make sure you know it. Try a lot of different beer styles. You're probably doing that for the tasting exam anyway.
Well, if you're not, you should be. But yeah,
absolutely.
Even now, you should start, because there's a lot of 99 different styles, right? And so you don't have to try each and every single one, but try as many as you can.
Yeah, and while you're drinking them, read the description. Kind of start putting it in line what beers are allowed, what flaws. That's Jesse's big tip, and that pays off. This way, because you'll probably get a question asking, this beer style has diacetyl. Is that okay? And you should know which ones those are.
Yeah. Yep. So, and as far as tasting goes, what a good tip that I'd heard, and this is beer judge, for both the tasting and even online, is that no matter whatever you put in your mouth, food, drink, whatever, not even just beer, try to analyze it, try to pick out the different flavors and try to kind of break it down, and that'll get you in the habit of, as soon as you drink the beer, you're in that mode. Yeah. So, but again, that's not for the online.
No, but it's a good tip overall, Then there's a couple of things. So I said read the study guide, kind of get a good idea of what beers are allowed, what faults. But there's a couple of things that I think you should memorize. One of them is the true and false questions. There's a pool of questions that they will ask you, a number of them, on the online exam. Just memorize them. Even if you don't understand why they're true or false, just memorize them so you hear the question, you know the answer. There's a couple that are a little confusing. They sound the same to me, but the answers are different. So that'll help you out. That'll be guaranteed points.
And that sounds more intimidating than it is, because I think there's like 75 total that they could pull from it, but they have like 50 of them or something. I'm like, oh my god, I can't memorize that many. But 99% of them, got that. Yeah. You only have to really memorize maybe 10, 15 tops. So it's really not that bad.
But there's a one-page sheet that lists the beer faults, the most common beer faults, and it has like what you'd notice, the smell, the taste, what it is, what they call it, how it's caused, and how you can fix it. Memorize that entire page. It'll serve you well for the online exam, but it'll be invaluable for the rest of your judging career, because you'll draw on that on the tasting exam. You'll draw on it every time you judge. You'll draw it at club meetings when people say, try this beer.
And you'd be like, oh yeah, that tastes like butter popcorn. Oh, that's that's diacetyl.
You'll draw on that when you go out to a lot of breweries, because hey, nobody's perfect.
Nope. Well, and that harkens back, harkens back to what you said, like know what beer styles or certain beers are allowed these certain things. And we were at a place down in Pueblo, and they had a Czech premium lager, it's a Czech premium pale, and I drank that. I was like, oh, that tastes like a butter bomb right there. But diacetyl's okay. I don't think that much.
No, low levels, okay. I'm sure.
But I was like, oh, okay, I've learned something today. So anyway,
so then overall, after you've memorized that, after you've studied that, here's the strategy that I present for you. So the test is 180 questions. You have 60 minutes to complete it. It's roughly 20 seconds per question, right? So when you're answering your questions, read the question. If you know it, answer it. If you don't know it, guess and then mark it. Work your way through the entire exam like that, and when you're finished, don't take too much time on any question. When you get to the very end, come back around and start reviewing the questions that you have marked, okay? And we'll start looking into those, okay? So before you take your exam, you're going to have to purchase an attempt. That's what they call it, right? Just an attempt.
Maybe,
Test attempt, So you have to purchase the test attempt. Buy the 3-pack. Yeah, the 3-pack is inexpensive. You want to join the BJCP, the money just goes to the BJCP. So, win-win. And then, when you're sitting down to take the test, tell yourself, this first test, it's just a practice. I just want to familiarize myself with it. It doesn't matter if I fail or pass. If you can really fix that in your head, it'll take the stress off, and a lot of people just pass it.
Because you, like me, you will, I guarantee you, you're like, oh, I'm not going to pay for that. I'm going to go out and online, and surely there's a practice exam out there somewhere. There's one, I think, that has like 10 questions. And they were good questions, but that's not nearly enough to get you prepped. So just spend I think when I bought it was $10 for one test or $20 for 3 tests. So
no brainer.
Just spend the extra $10 and like this is a practice. And I think probably 75-80% of the people that we talk to after they do this, this is a throwaway, this is my practice, and they passed it. Easy. So
So then my second part, or the next part of the strategy is to set up your workspace. So this is an open book test. That means you can use any resource that you want. The only problem is you don't have the time, right? So there's a number of things that you should put on little cheat sheets and tape them to your monitor, right? So for me, it's like the temperatures for the mash steps, the temperatures that the enzymes activate and get denatured. I can't think. I think there's the different water profiles, because there's a couple questions about some of the water profiles.
I remember those.
And if you look in the show notes again, there's a link to it on that page we have on our website. You can print them out and stick them all around your monitor. But this way, when that question pops up, I don't know. Or, oh, hey, the answer's right there. I answered it. It's not marked. It's not one you have to worry about.
You don't even have to take the time to switch apps or anything.
Yeah, nothing. No alt-tabbing, nothing.
Yeah, so keeping in mind, too, I don't think we mentioned this yet, this test, the whole point of this test is a barrier to entry. So they make you pass this test so that they know that you're serious about actually becoming a judge and you going on to the tasting exam, and you're not going to just sit there and drink beer and, I'm an idiot. So they're doing this for a reason. That said, once you pass this test, you're done. You can take the tasting exam as many times as you want after this. If you get a 10 on it, just take it again. You don't have to do this again. There's a one and done. So, it's okay.
So I think the only way that doesn't apply is if you do fail the tasting exam. I mean, first off, you're still a judge. But there's a window that you have to retake the tasting exam. Yeah. And I think if you don't take it and you exceed the window, then it resets your online exam.
Yeah, I think it's like 2 years.
Yeah, it's something pretty reasonable.
Yeah, okay, I'll pull my foot out of my mouth. But yeah, no, so it's like 2 years. But I mean, if you're serious about it, by having taken this, and you fail and you really bomb it, you're going to want to take that again immediately.
Yeah, but I mean, he's absolutely right about that. Yeah. So just once you get done with this, you should never have to take it again. So, and then we also have a link, and I'll include a link to the show notes. There's this great website, and it requires a registration. I don't think I've ever gotten a piece of spam from them or anything like that. But it's the Beer Style-O-Matic.
Yeah.
Beer Style Compare-O-Matic. And it's a great website. It's got 2 drop-downs. You choose the beer styles, and it shows you the stats and everything side by side. Because there's a handful of questions where they ask you a question about 2 different styles. Yeah. And bam, you got it right there. And it's real easy to find out the answer. Yeah. Yep. Let's see. Yeah, and that's all I got. I think that's my strategy in a nutshell.
Yeah. No, that's the pitch. But like we tell people that ask us about it at club meetings or something is, if you like beer enough to brew and you taste it, you enjoy it, you discuss it, this should be really not that big a deal. It's stressful, but it's not a big deal. It shouldn't be a problem.
Well, I think for me, the 2 kind of evolutionary steps is when I started learning about the different styles and the history, and this is before I was brewing, that made me want to make it.
Yep.
That made me want to make it. That made me want to try them all.
Yeah.
And then when I started studying for the BJCP exam, that's when I really learned a lot about beer and brewing, because you start tying in where the faults are, how you prevent them, different things like that.
Yep.
And now I'm kind of at the point where it's like questioning some of the advice. Mm-hmm. Like, wait, is that really necessary? Can you do this other thing instead?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, obviously that's been the impetus for a lot of our episodes, and a lot more to come, frankly. But
no, for sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. I had something to add, but I don't know. Yeah. So carry on. I forgot what I was going to say.
Darn it. So, and like Jesse said, and I mentioned, is don't worry too much about the tasting exam. I mean, study up for it, do your best, but don't panic on it. Like I said, even if you fail it, you're still a judge, and you just retake it again.
Yeah.
And if you score low on it, you don't have a low score for life. You can take it again, and if you end up scoring lower than your first attempt, you keep the highest score.
Yep.
So you don't lose anything. Just some more study time.
I think I was more stressed about writing well, because that's part of it. I was more stressed about writing well and trying and getting my thoughts onto paper in a coherent way, and making sure I checked all the boxes, because there are boxes to check, and I'm sure we talked about that in our exam one. I was more concerned about that than actually the beer styles, because I think the last time I took the tasting exam, I distinctly remember, and I told Mike this 100 times, I distinctly remember the night before, I was like, I've never had a Flanders Red. I should probably read up on the Flanders Red. I, of course, didn't. And hey, guess what was on the exam? Here's a Flanders Red for you. I was like, well, it's sour.
Yeah.
So, yeah, oh well.
What's funny for me is handwriting is the biggest complaint that I got, from Brad, who was running us through a BJCP tasting exam course, and just my handwriting's horrific. I mean, I'm an IT guy. I mean, I was the kid they sent to handwriting class, and extra work handwriting, and then I get into IT, so I never write anything. I type all the time.
Who does that anymore?
Yeah.
This is the 20th century.
Yeah, I can't wait till they move the exam to online.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could type in the forms, that'd be terrific.
Yeah. Yeah, even if it was just like a PDF that you could fill in. But
so if you're getting ready to take it, good luck to you. If you guys want to hear kind of an overview of the tasting exam, what to expect, and maybe some tips on that, maybe we could round up Brad to talk to us, or we could do an episode on that. Just let us know in the comments or somewhere else. I know there's one happening locally in December, but I think that covers it for me.
Yeah. So if you have any words of wisdom, please comment. Let us know. If you have any other questions, I'm sure this is not going to be the last BJCP episode that we do. So
Just let us know.
If we get enough questions, and I'm sure because we'll get other questions from other club members, and we'll just do another one.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But if you're planning on taking it, study and good luck.
Yeah, definitely study.
Yeah.
So if you got something valuable out of the episode, feel free to go and click on the link below in the show notes. Buy us a coffee. We'll use it for beer, we promise. But otherwise, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers. Thanks for watching our video. Check out our website at coloradobrewtalk.com for more great content.
While you're there, be sure to leave us a comment or drop us a line with your thoughts.
You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter at CO Brew Talk, or follow the links below. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any future content.
Or episodes. As the case may be.
This is the first part of that.
Yeah. And we, I don't know, I messed that up.